Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe because today we re-exploring something that's both universally frustrating and deeply fascinating. Why your brain seems obsessed with replaying painful memories. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You're going about your day, maybe even having a good moment, and suddenly your mind serves up that embarrassing thing you said 5 years ago, or that breakup conversation, or that time you failed at something important, or words someone said that hurt you. And it's not just a passing thought, it plays in vivid detail, sometimes over and over, bringing back all the emotions like it's happening right now. Meanwhile, positive memories seem to fade into the background, requiring effort to recall, while these painful ones have unlimited access to your mental replay system. It feels cruel, random, and like your brain is actively working against you. But here's the thing: your brain isn't torturing you for fun. There are actually specific psychological and neurological reasons why painful memories get this preferential treatment. And understanding why this happens is the first step toward changing your relationship with these intrusive replays. So let us dive into the science and psychology of why your brain let go of painful memories, what purpose this served evolutionarily, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it. Let us start with the fundamental principle that explains so much of this. Your brain is not designed to make you happy, it's designed to keep you safe. From an evolutionary perspective, survival trumps happiness every single time, and pain, danger, and negative experiences are much more important to remember than positive ones, because they contain information about threats, mistakes, and things to avoid in the future. Think about it from your ancestors' perspective. If they ate a particular plant and got sick, forgetting that experience could be fatal the next time they encountered that plant, but forgetting which berry tasted slightly better than another. Not a survival issue. Natural selection favored brains that were really, really good at encoding, storing, and retrieving negative experiences, because those were the experiences that could kill you if you did unlearn from them. This is called the negativity bias, and it's hardwired into your brain at multiple levels. Your amygdala, which is your brain's threat detection and emotional processing center, is far more reactive to negative stimuli than positive ones. Studies show that negative images, words, and experiences produce more neural activity, are processed more thoroughly, and are stored more durably than positive equivalents. Your brain essentially has a better safe than sorry algorithm running constantly, which means it prioritizes and rehearses information about things that went wrong, things that hurt, or things that might pose future threats. The painful memory is unreplaying because there's something wrong with you. It's replaying because your brain thinks it's protecting you by keeping this important danger information readily accessible. Now, let's talk about the specific mechanisms that make painful memories so vivid and intrusive. When you experience something emotionally intense, especially something painful, threatening, or traumatic, your amygdala essentially tags that memory as important by flooding your system with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These stress hormones enhance memory consolidation, which is the process of converting short-term memories into long-term storage. It's like your brain is using emotional intensity as a highlighter. The more intense the emotion, especially negative emotion, the stronger and more detailed the memory encoding. This is why you can remember exactly where you were, what you were wearing, and minute details from painful experiences. But you might struggle to remember what you had for dinner last Tuesday. The emotional arousal literally burns these memories into your brain more deeply. There's also something called which is absolutely crucial to understanding why painful memories feel so fresh, even years later. Every time you remember something, you're not just replaying a recording, you're actually reconstructing the memory. And in the process, you're making it label, meaning temporarily changeable. Then you restore it. And this process is called Here's the problem. If you recall a painful memory while you in a negative emotional state, you're essentially re-encoding it with fresh emotional intensity. So each time you replay that embarrassing moment or that hurtful conversation, you're not just remembering it, you're actually refreshing it, keeping it emotionally vivid, and ensuring it remains easily accessible. It S like you retaking an old wound and picking at it each time you think about it, preventing it from fading naturally. This is why some memories from years ago can feel as fresh and painful as if they happened yesterday. You've been inadvertently maintaining them through repeated recall. Let's discuss rumination, because this is the psychological pattern that really keeps painful memories on repeat. Rumination is the repetitive, passive focus on negative experiences, emotions, or thoughts. It's when you're not actively problem-solving or processing, you're just replaying, analyzing, and dwelling. And here's the tricky part. Rumination often feels productive because you're thinking deeply about something, but research shows it actually maintains and intensifies negative emotions rather than resolving them. When you ruminate on painful memories, you're engaging in what psychologists call perseverative cognition, which keeps your stress response activated long after the actual event has passed. Your body can tell the difference between remembering something painful and actually experiencing it. Both activate similar neural networks and trigger similar physiological responses. So you're essentially re-traumatizing yourself in small doses every time you replay these memories. And your brain interprets this as evidence that the threat is still present and relevant, which makes it even more likely to serve up that memory again in the future. It's a self-reinforcing cycle. There's also the concept of unfinished business, which is incredibly relevant here. Painful memories often involve situations that weren't resolved, where you didn't get closure, where you wish you had responded differently, or where there's still emotional charge because you never fully processed the experience. Your brain doesn't like loose ends. It seeks resolution, coherence, and understanding. So when you have a memory of something painful that feels incomplete or unresolved, your brain keeps bringing it up, essentially saying, "We need to figure this out. We need to make sense of this. We need to resolve this." The problem is that just thinking about it repeatedly doesn't actually create resolution. It just keeps the memory active. You can think about an embarrassing moment 1,000 times, but unless you actually process the emotion, reframe the experience, or take some action that creates psychological closure, your brain will keep flagging it as unfinished business that needs attention. Let's talk about the role of identity and self-concept in painful memory replay. Sometimes your brain replays painful memories because they become part of how you understand yourself or your life story. If you have a core belief, like "I am not good enough," or "people always leave me," or "I always mess things up," your brain will selectively retrieve memories that confirm that narrative. So if you see yourself as someone who fails, your brain helpfully serves up detailed memories of times you failed while letting successes fade into the background. The painful memories are replaying randomly. They replaying because they fit the story your brain thinks it's telling about who you are. This is particularly insidious because it creates a feedback loop. Negative self-concept triggers painful memory recall, which reinforces negative self-concept, which triggers more painful memories. There's also the element of hypervigilance, especially if you've experienced trauma. When your brain has learned that the world isn't safe, it becomes hyper-aware of potential threats. And part of this hypervigilance involves constantly scanning your memory for past instances of danger, betrayal, pain, or failure. It's your brain's way of trying to predict and prevent future harm by staying constantly aware of all the ways things can go wrong. This is why people with anxiety or PTSD often experience intrusive memories. Their threat detection system is overactive and keeps pulling up memories that it categorizes as The memory replay isn't serving you in the present, but your brain doesn't know that it thinks it's doing crucial protective work by keeping these memories at the forefront of your mind. Now let's discuss the specific pattern of intrusive memories, because sometimes painful memories don't just come up during rumination, they intrude involuntarily and unexpectedly. These are called intrusive memories, and they're particularly common with traumatic experiences but can happen with any emotionally significant negative event. Intrusive memories are often triggered by cues in your environment: a smell, a sound, a place, a time of year, something someone says that your brain associates with the original painful experience. Your brain has created a web of associations around this memory, and any time one of those associated cues appears, it can trigger the full memory to come flooding back. This is classical conditioning that were present during the painful event become triggers that activate the memory network. The reason these feel so overwhelming and uncontrollable is that they're mediated by more automatic, subcortical brain processes rather than deliberate recall. Your thinking brain isn't choosing to remember, your emotional brain is responding to a trigger. There's also the concept of emotional avoidance playing a role here. Paradoxically, the more you try to suppress or avoid thinking about painful memories, the more likely they are to intrude. This is called the rebound effect, or ironic process theory. When you actively try not to think about something, your brain needs to monitor for that thought to know whether to suppress it, which means the thought stays highly accessible and actually becomes more likely to pop up. It's like saying, do you think about a pink elephant now? That's all you can think about. So if you have a painful memory you're trying to avoid, your attempts at suppression may actually be increasing how often it comes to mind. And when it does break through your suppression efforts, it often comes with even more emotional intensity because you've been actively fighting it. So what do you actually do about all this painful memory replay? First, understand that trying to delete or permanently forget painful memories is unrealistic and might not even be desirable. These experiences are part of your history and often contain important lessons. The goal is eliminate the memories, but to change your relationship with them, so they lose their emotional charge and stop intruding on your present life. One powerful approach is memory reconsolidation therapy, where you deliberately recall the painful memory in a safe, controlled setting while introducing new information or perspective that updates how the memory is stored. This can actually change the emotional tone of the memory at a neurological level. Cognitive processing therapy helps you identify and challenge distorted beliefs connected to painful memories, changing the meaning you've attached to these experiences. EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization and is particularly effective for traumatic memories and works by helping your brain reprocess these memories in a way that reduces their emotional intensity. Mindfulness practices teach you to notice when painful memories arise without getting caught up in rumination. You can acknowledge the memory and let it pass rather than engaging with it and replaying it repeatedly. Writing about painful experiences in structured ways has been shown to help process them and reduce their intrusive quality. And sometimes you need to actively create closure or resolution for yourself. This might mean writing a letter you never send, having an imagined conversation, or finding some symbolic action that helps your brain mark the experience as complete. It's also crucial to build competing positive memories and associations. Your brain's tendency to replay painful memories is partly due to the imbalance in your memory system. Intentionally savoring and rehearsing positive experiences, keeping a gratitude journal, and deliberately recalling good memories helps create more balanced neural pathways. You're not denying or minimizing pain, you're just making sure your brain has equal access to experiences that didn't hurt. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who's stuck in painful memory loops. Drop a comment if you feel comfortable. What type of painful memories does your brain replay most? Sometimes just naming it reduces its power. And remember, if painful memories are significantly impacting your daily life, please reach out to a trauma-informed therapist. You don't have to carry this alone, and these memories can absolutely lose their grip on you with the right support. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.